The anthology will have a prologue that is written by a super authority figure in the field of adverse childhood experiences and positive childhood experiences. The anthology will also include 8 exclusive and intimate stories about entrepreneurs with ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and how adverse childhood experiences have impacted their overall well-being and what they are now doing about it. So the 8 elements of well-being, according to the Substance Abuse Mental Health organization that is funded by our government, SAMHSA, Substance, Mental Health, and Substance Abuse Health Administration. They summarize that every human being has essential needs, and these essential needs are bucketed into the 8 elements of well-being. And I have referred to these as the 8 elements of wellness, right? Like chemicals require other elements to make them work, like we know water, but the chemicals that are required to make water are H2NO, right? And so SAMHSA has identified, along with several other reputable studies, that there are 8 elements of well-being that need to be in harmony with each other. And so these anthologists, these authors who are going to join us, many of which have published books prior to this, are going to share their stories of what it's like to learn about ACEs, to undergo understanding ACEs, because it's one thing to hear it, but then there's a second step where you actually undergo understanding. And the authors are going to share their perspective in a very, very articulate, raw format so that audiences of all types can benefit from what it's like to break intergenerational chains of childhood trauma so that the next generation has an opportunity to participate in climate health instead of climate catastrophes. The universe needs us to have mental well-being, and in order for us to have mental well-being in this universe, we all have to collectively work on our mental health if we care about Mother's nature. So the compilation of stories will allow users to walk away with a very solid understanding of the adverse childhood experience study and be able to actually put faces behind the ACEs so that it brings the study to life. We are not just words and names to remember or numbers on a spreadsheet. We are people who have ACEs and are trying to navigate in a world of high expectations when the expectations that some of us started with were so low. And so it's almost like learning how to be a new being when you leave a very traumatic childhood and you just want to know what normal and happy feels like. Maybe not all stories will be as dramatic, but there is life in every single person that has had to go through childhood and is now on the other side of adulthood, whether they have found their purpose or not. And so the conversations are designed to help people who come to this conversation have a shortcut, the cheat code to finding their purpose and meaning after having experienced adverse childhood experiences. Wonderful chapters, 90 pages front and back, and each of the authors will captivate you with stories that will inspire you to want to take action for yourself and your future generation. And as a bonus, we made it attention span friendly. So it is art. It is a conversation with the people that are behind the microphone. And once you've had a chance to understand their words that you see on paper, you can follow then the QR code to the after story, the after party, if you will, and be able to hear the follow-up to that person's story as it relates to the impacts that adverse childhood experiences had on their 8 elements of well-being as identified by several research studies. So an amazing conversation that is extremely aligned, and it is all designed to bring awareness to the conversation because awareness is the intervention and time starts with awareness. And we believe that by ACEs Matter using its platform and the resources that it is able to accumulate to do the conversation this way, we have access to a much larger audience. So we want to educate 1 million people by 2030, and the podcast and the textbook, the life book or the cheat code book is one way to get there. And because there is so much trauma in the world today, there is enough room for all of us to have space in this conversation. So we encourage you to invite somebody else into this conversation and support the cause, support the book, because the proceeds of the book will allow ACEs Matter to continue this conversation in a way where you've asked us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. Here's our way of doing it. Y'all have a good day.